ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהכל נהיה בדברו.
אמן.
תזכו לשנים רבות, נעימות וטובות, גמר חתימה טובה, שנה טובה ומבורכת. Hashem should help that our prayers should be accepted and our teshuvah should be accepted together with the prayers and the teshuvah of all the tzaddikim and chassidim and the whole Klal Yisrael. Amen v'amen. If somebody carries a hard feeling against somebody else, had a fight, happens, darling. And then he says, you know what, I'm going to be bigger and better. I'm going to go apologize. So he does it. So first of all, Ashrav u'matov chelko. He got himself somewhere. We know Chazal say, it's mitzvah d'oraita to eat on the 9th day. It's tomorrow, according to some Rishonim, it begins tonight already. And Chazal HaKadoshim say that somebody who eats on the 9th day and fasts on the 10th day, Ma'aleh alav hakatuv, Hashem says it's as if he fasted 3 days. You can get the credit for the extra day. Let's say the 9th day you're eating, so we consider it that you're fasting. But why 3 days? 2 days? So it's brought down in the study, a very interesting thing. When a person's hungry, he's cranky. That's why most people, when they come home from work, after a long day, they fight with everybody around them. That's the facts. Because they're hungry. If they would eat something before they came home, the shalom bayit would be good. They wouldn't fight with anybody. We learned that. There's a lot of proofs from that. I said in Shiurim. Achei Yosef, that's the biggest proof. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Aveirot sheben adam lechavero, ein Yom HaKippurim mechaper ad sheyifayes et chavero. Sins between man and man, Kippur doesn't have the power to rectify until he straightens it out with his friend. Aveirot sheben adam lamakom, sins between man and God, so Yom Kippur, you go to Shul Kippur, and if you do tshuva, of course it's mechaper. And others say even without the tshuva, the Gemara has an opinion, Itzumo shel yom mechaper, just the fact that you went into Kippur, that alone brings you a kapara. One way or the other. There is this thing of averot sheben adam lechavero that's much more complicated to deal with than averot sheben adam lamakom. Come the holy rabbis and teach us. That's what God's saying. On the 9th day you eat. You eat all day, so you're well fed. Normally you sit with your family, you eat a seudah, many seudot. Recently I found a source, this is very hard to do, so I don't think anybody's going to try this, but that the sgula for marriage is to eat 7 seudot, washing and benching on Erev Kippur. It's a sgula to gain weight too. But I found a source for it. Years ago somebody told it to me, I thought it was a joke. But this year I searched a lot and I found a source in Svarim HaKadoshim from 450 years ago. But anyway, the person eats and he's well fed and whatever, he's in a good mood. Add that to the fact that it's Erev Kippur and subconsciously he knows he has to straighten his act out with people and work things out with people. The combination of the two, it makes it easier to get along with others. And it makes it easier to lower your ego and to apologize to somebody else. Comes Hashem and says, Kippur is between me and you. Between me and you, I'm your father, I'm an Av Rahman, I'm quick to forgive. Erev Kippur is between man and man. That's a much harder thing. If you do Erev Kippur, you're Ochel B'Yom HaKippurim, meaning Be'erev Kippurim, you eat on Erev Kippur, and through that you utilize the strength that you got from your eating to square up with other people and to do something productive and to be in unity with Am Yisrael. Ma'aleh alav hakatuv, I'm telling you that's greater than the 1 day fast. I'll give you 2 more days credit. Nice chidush. But I want to take this a step further. And these words are very hard to say because it's almost like borderline atheism. But unfortunately, many of us are borderline atheists without realizing it. People have hardships in life. And when somebody has a hardship in life, what do we point fingers at? God. God, why are you doing this to me? God, it's not fair. God, I'm angry at you. I mean, not, they talk like that, but that's what we feel. We learn this from a pasuk in Ruth, in Megillat Ruth. Rav Yaakov Yagen, Zecher Tzadik V'Kadosh Livracha, Zchuto Yagen Aleinu, used to always say this. When Naomi left Israel and then had many tragedies, lost her husband, her kids, had 2 daughters-in-law that weren't even Jewish. One ended up staying behind, one came back with her Ruth, the grandmother of David HaMelech. So when she came back to Israel, she left with a family, with children, with a husband, and rich, and prestige. Came back as a nobody, broke, with no family, and a Goya daughter-in-law / convert. Which technically really might have not even been a real daughter-in-law. So she said about herself, Ani melea alachti v'reikam heshivani Hashem. When I left Israel, I was full. I had everything working for me. Everything was perfect. Life was beautiful. But v'reikam, now that I came back to Israel, heshivani Hashem, God brought me back broke. Tzarot, problems, empty. So Rav Yaakov Galinsky Zitzal said, this pasuk wasn't written to say that she was complaining, not even that she was stating the facts. Because the facts were known. This pasuk was written to teach us for generations the way people operate. There are 2 types of situations that one goes through in life. Rav Nachman, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, Zchuto Yagen Aleinu, calls them Yomei HaOr v'Yomei HaChoshech. Days of light and days of darkness. On the Yemei HaOr, on the days of light, what does the person say? Guy closed a good deal today. I had the right hookup, I met the right people, I spoke well, I pulled up with a nice car, took him out to a nice dinner, sweet talked to him, I did a good job. He had a good day, he made a lot of money. So Milea, when things are going the way you want, Ani Milea alachti, I did well. But then there are days that don't go well. You woke up on your left side, you got into the car, you went down Main Street, a cop pulled you over, you got a ticket, you went a few more blocks, you got a flat tire, the kids, and nothing's going right. Then you ran out of gas, one problem after the next. By the time the 3rd hit of the day comes, what happens? God, enough. It's 7 o'clock in the morning, I already got 3 strikes. I can't do this. V'reikam, when a person has a day of choshech, a day of darkness, heshivani Hashem. Why did God do this to me? That's a double standard. If it's Hashem everywhere, in the good days and the bad days. And if it's not Hashem, then leave God out of your problems. Besides, Elokim bara et Adam yashar. God made a person successful. Hey ma bikshu cheshbonot rabim. You caused your own problems. It's funny. You went speeding down the road. You got a ticket, and suddenly it's God's fault. God didn't speed. You sped. You drove like a lunatic. You got into a car accident by not only on Sunni Israel, and it's God's fault. What? God didn't speed. God didn't drive crazy. You made bad choices. What do you want from Hashem now? But that's the teva, that's the nature, the mitziyut, the nature of it. Ani melea alachti. When it goes well, it's me. V'reikam, when there's problems, it's Shivani Hashem. Being that that's the way people think. If you have somebody that you have issues with, but also you know that the issues are not all his fault. It's two-sided. You're also not the biggest Hasidah Kadisha. Sometimes I have people, 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds, millennials, like they call them today. They come to talk to me. When a millennial walks in, I already know the conversation before he starts. He or she makes no difference. My father's this, my mother's this. All their problems is the whole world's fault except for themselves. And everybody owes them everything. That disgusting, sick feeling of entitlement. My mother doesn't want to pay my tuition. What type of mother is that? Well, she owes you something. Say thank you that she brought you to the world at all. This one doesn't want to do this for me. That one doesn't want to help me. This one doesn't care about me. That's called the millennial dialogue. But how do I respond? I look at the kid, I say, Tzaddik or Tzaddikit, I want to know something. Yeah, you're right. Let's say you're right. I happen to disagree with everything you said, but let's say you're right. What about you? Did you ever do anything wrong, or you're perfect? Is anything on your end that... Believe it or not, unfortunately today a lot of them say I'm perfect. But in the normal world, people still say, no, I also have my flaws. Everybody has their flaws. I said, so before we start fixing everybody else's flaws, maybe you should start fixing your own flaws. As Rabbeinu HaKadoshim teach us, kshot atzmecha, first fix yourself, v'achar kach kshot acherim, and then look to fix everybody else. I said, maybe if you do what your obligations are, then others will do what you think their obligations are, even if they're irrational. Because they'll have an incentive and a motivation by seeing that you care to do well, and at that point they'll want to help you out to do well. Maybe think that way. So I want to say something that's hard for me to say, but what should we do? Maybe we have to address things that generations ago they didn't have to talk about. If we're carrying a heavy heart with God a whole year, then when we walk into Kippur and we do tshuva, it's a sketch. It's fake. Because to you, God's a monster who caused you all these problems this year. So you're apologizing to him? You're not apologizing to him, you're angry at him. So what type of tshuva are you going to have on Yom Kippur? Zero. It's all going to be fake. So the real hachana, a few hours before Kippur, is to first realize Hashem did nothing wrong. Just the opposite. He did everything right. And everything you have and everything you are, to the good or the bad, to the plus or the minus, and the fact that you're here to say the story and able to make things better is also Him. And if you had hard feelings with God this year, the problem was by you. It wasn't by Him. And when you can clean that negative emotion up, so step 2 will be, now you want to square up with Him. Somebody hates his father, the chance of him apologizing to his father if he did something wrong is very slim. But if somebody loves his father, even if he forgot the stupidest thing that his father couldn't care less about, he right away calls him, Dad, I'm so sorry, I forgot. What's the difference? One has a feeling of love, and in a feeling of love we want to square up. And the other one hates him, he doesn't care. If you love Hashem, then you stand a chance to do teshuvah. If you understand Hashem loves you, so love is mutual. Kamayim panim el panim. So then there's a chance to do teshuvah. But if you don't think Hashem loves you, and in return you don't really feel a feeling of love to Hashem, so what teshuvah? Who are you fooling? Who are you fooling? So now let's look at it from God's perspective. I had an amazing story. If it happened or not, I don't care. The idea is great. There was a kid, he comes home from Arvit, the first night of Rosh Hashanah. They do Hamotzi, and then they're going to do, the Simanim, each one with his custom, like we did a week ago. One of them, that every child learns in school, dip the apple, if he's Ashkenaz in the honey, if he's Sephardic in the sugar. And his mother has 2 beautiful apples on the table, Chakal Tapuchin Kadishin, that she's going to cut up and everybody's going to dip, the siman for the year. And kids don't have patience to wait. He knows there's still 15 minutes. He wants right now. So he goes to the plate, he takes the 2 apples, he has them in his hands. The mother knows the child well, and she knows he's about to take, good bites from her apples, and there went her plans for tonight. So she tells him, honey, maybe hold off a little bit. He just ignores her, like nothing happened. And in front of her face, he's about to take a bite, and she tells him, don't do that. Let me at least cut it for you. Let me at least... Ignores her again. Takes one of the first apple in his hand, big bite, right out of it. The mother's face drops. By the table, in front of all the guests, not pleasant. Then he picks up the second apple. He's like, it's bad enough you ruined one, I have one left, He says, buddy, this one leave alone at least. Again he ignores her. Can you imagine what that mother's feeling then? Shana, night, by the tail, you ignore me like that, huh? And with a smirk on his face, another bite. Apple number 2 down. And now she is up to here, and she's about to explode. But the kid was one step ahead of her. And he hands her the 2 apples, and he hands her a knife, and he says, Mom, cut off the pieces that I bit from. The rest is good. This one is sweeter. The other one's not so good. Don't serve it to the people. Suddenly everything changed, no? That was the story of Ayiyah. We sat at work and we felt that God was taking bites out of our life. We sat at home and we felt that God was taking bites out of our bank account. We sat in the doctor's office and felt that God was taking bites out of our health. We sat in PTA and felt that God was taking bites out of our children. We sat in every situation and felt that God was just biting and biting. God, what are you doing? What are you doing? I have plans. I got things that I need to succeed. I need this to work out. I'm in the middle of my year. Don't ruin it for me. And then comes Kippur, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells you, Salachti kidvarecha, and says, sweetheart, this way was the better way. The whole year I was just making sure that you should have a sweeter life. They shouldn't fall into this trap. They shouldn't get harmed this way. They shouldn't do it. I just saw 20 steps further than you saw. So I was protecting you the entire way. B'shuv Hashem et Shivat Zion, inshallah, very soon when HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to come back and bring us the Beit HaMikdash. Hayinu kecholmim. We're going to see that every time we were angry at him, it was just a dream. It was a stupid nightmare. And everything was perfect. That's the way it's going to be. Pshuto kemashmao. We say it. B'shuv Hashem et Shivat Zion. It's coming soon, any day. Hayinu kecholmim. We'll see all the times that I thought and I was angry and I was upset and I was frustrated and I was annoyed. And then, HaKadosh Baruch Hu was sitting there and saying, yeah, it looks like I took a bite, but I didn't take no bite. I was making sure that you have the sweetest, that you have the best. Because you're my Ben Yakili Ephraim im Yeled Shashuim. You're my child that I enjoy spending time with. But this is easier said than done. Because when it hurts, it's very hard to actually think clearly. Because at that point, we only feel. Now let's go a step further. We're going to come into Kippur. Say a very interesting thing. Right at the beginning. Before Kol Nidrei. Kol Nidrei everybody shows up to, right? They even ask synagogues in New York that at the end of Kol Nidrei, the Gabbai announces what time Kol Nidrei will be next year. Because nobody's showing up again until then. So at least they should know what time to come next year. Kol Nidrei, the Havdil Elef Alfei Havdalot, if they're Jewish, Reform, Conservative, even they go to synagogue in one way or the other. Everybody. In Israel, the highways are empty. The secular call it a day of biking. You can go biking on the highways. There's no cars. Everybody keeps Kippur. Kippur. Everybody keeps Kippur. Each one in his way, maybe not exactly the way Hashem wants it, but they try, they mean well. Now you're at the holiest moment. You're coming into Kippur. Itzumo shel Yom Mechaper. Just by going into Kippur, God's about to forgive you. You're getting forgiveness and this and that. Now how do you start off? B'yeshiva shel Mala, ובישיבה של מטה, על דעת המקום, על דעת הקהל, בית דין של מעלה, בית דין של מטה, meaning all courts, heaven, earth, על דעת המקום, God agrees to this, על דעת הקהל, all of us agree to this, אנו מתירים, we agree להתפלל את העבריינים, to pray together with criminals. We start off the whole Kippur, the holiest moment. Tomorrow night, the guys that are going to spend tens of thousands of dollars to buy Kol Nidrei. In some shuls, it's a lot more than tens of thousands. But what do they buy? To hold the Sefer Torah and say, I want to pray with criminals. Go to him on an average Monday morning. Tell him, you want to buy Aliyat Shlishi, be Machabed somebody? He says, who's the somebody? What, the chief rabbi of Israel's here? Gladly. He said, no, there was a guy, he just did 12 years for arsenal and theft and whatever, he just got out. He has to say, I'll go mail, buy him an Aliyah. I said, what, are you crazy? But wait a second, you just spent $100,000 for Kol Nidrei to say, Anu matirim litpalel et ha'avaryanim. Which one is it? Make up your mind. But why is it like that? That's the way you come into Kippur? That's what's important, Kippur? Anu matirim. And let's say Kippur is a special day and everybody's forgiven, so they're forgiven too, which is true. And therefore, we want to say some sort of resemblance to that. But that's what's important to say at the beginning. That's the most important thing. This is what we do when everybody's there. This is what's at. This is where it's at. So it's very simple. A couple of weeks ago, Apple put out a few new phones. So I got one of them. With a filter, kosher, obviously, so nobody should misunderstand. But it wasn't really worth much to me, because I don't know how to use it. Honestly, for many years, it's embarrassing to say, but whatever, that's just me. I didn't even know how to store a phone number. So if somebody wanted to give me his phone number, I would give him the phone and say, put it in, because I was embarrassed to tell him I don't know how to save your phone number. But today a phone is a fashion statement, so you get it for different reasons, not just for the phone. But this time I said, it's getting a phone and so much money and this and that, it's not cheap like it was. I gotta know how to use it a little bit. So I went onto YouTube and found some guy who has a tutorial on the features of the new app. I wasted 21 and a half minutes of my life watching a tutorial on how to use my phone. And I'll be honest with you, I learned a couple of pretty cool things I didn't know about it before. B'yeshiva shel mala u b'yeshiva shel mata is the tutorial of Yom Kippur. It's Hashem coming to Am Yisrael and saying, you want to be able to walk into Kippur and succeed, and not just fast and come out cranky and hungry and angry the next day? This is the way to do it. Realize, you are no better than anybody else, and nobody else is better than you. We are all equal. If you realize that, and you believe it, now we're good. Itzumo shel Yom Mechaper. And if you don't realize that, Kol Nidrei ve'esarei, you better start doing Hatarat Nedarim, Klalot, and everything else along the way, because you're in deep trouble. And that's not an exaggeration, that is 100% literal. We have many proofs that obviously we don't have time to bring, from all over Chazal, that a person is not judged by God. The judgment of God is the outcome. A person judges himself. The biggest proof is that by the incident of David and Bathsheba with the story of Kisat Arash, which I won't elaborate on now because of restraints on time. From there, Chazal learn that God takes a person on the Eve of Kippur and he looks and sees the way he judges others. And he uses exactly the way he judged everybody else to judge him. If by him everybody was a Rasha and a this and a that and the other, he says, you're a Rasha, you're a worthless person. But if by everybody else to him, ve'amech kulam tzadikim, they were all righteous, God says, you're a tzaddik too. If when he saw somebody else driving on Shabbat, he said, Hazit, the guy's a Tinok Shenishba, he doesn't know better. Or probably he's taking his wife to the hospital to have a baby. Or maybe he's a doctor going to save a life. So Hashem says on his flaws on Shabbat, Hazit, probably it was also something went wrong. He lost his mind that moment. He didn't know what he was doing. But if he says, look at that idiot, how many times do we have to tell him that he can't do that on Shabbat? So God says, okay, now I'm going to check your Shabbat and see exactly what an idiot you are. And that's a silly thing. So the first thing Hashem says is, let me give you the tutorial for Kippur. Let me give you the tutorial. B'yeshiva shel mala or b'yeshiva shel mata, I agree to this and you should agree to this. Anu matirim mitpalel et havaryanim. We pray with everybody, we get along with everybody. The kahal includes everybody because everybody's a chelek eloka mimal. It's part of God. And if God is willing to put His soul in him, why aren't you willing to put your effort into him? I said this today to somebody on the phone. I was driving home, and a father calls me and he tells me he's throwing his son out of the house on Erev Kippur. I said, I think it's a great idea. So he said, why? I said, because probably you won't make it through Kippur, and then your son will have the house because he'll inherit it from you. He said, Yaakov, you're threatening me? I said, actually, this time I was. So he said, why do you say that? I said, because if Hashem felt that He could put a part of Him, the soul, chelek eloka mimal, inside your son today, so you think you're smarter than Hashem? So you're not bikoros. Hashem put Himself into this guy, and you don't want to have to do with him. So you think you're smarter than God? You're a kafir. You're not bikoros. I said, because I don't speak to goodbye. Well, Hashem, a few minutes later, he called back and he said, you know what, that was such a slap in the face, thank you, I needed it. I said, Shoit, it's your child, save him. Avraham Avinu and Ishmael wanted to save him. There was a special tzivui Hashem at a certain point to throw him out. But if not for that, and that was the only time in history, it's not an option. So here I want to share with you two tales, which if I had to guess, both of them never happened. But the message is very clear, and with this we'll conclude. The first one is said in many different variations. I'll give you the variation that fits my agenda. There's a guy driving a car. It's pouring rain outside. We just had a bunch of rainy days. Hopefully it clears up so we can do Kiddush Levana Motzei Kippur. And lo and behold, he sees on the street corner 3 people standing together. But not friends, 3 random people that he happens to know too. Person number 1 is a woman from his neighborhood that he knows that looks like she's trying to get to a hospital to get her. She needs help. Person number 2 is a close friend of his that he owes a lot to. The guy helped him in big ways, saved his life. Person number 3 is some random Jewish girl. And they're all getting drenched in this surprise rainstorm. And now he wants to help them. But he has one of those miniature sports cars they have to, bend down to your car to get into, and there's only one other seat. There's room for one. So he has to choose who he's taking. Which one should he pick? And each guy will say, if we took a survey, probably everybody will have a different answer. The one who has the emergency, right? That would be the rational thing. So take it to the hospital first. This one, that one. And a wise man once had a very simple solution. He said he should park his car, get out, take his close friend that he owes something to, put him into the driver's seat, take the woman that needs help, put her into the passenger seat, tell his friend, you take this lady to get her help, and come back and we'll deal with it then. Take an umbrella out of the trunk and stand outside and hold the umbrella over himself and this other young girl that's getting drenched. Creative, no? And that's what he did. And now he's standing near a young girl that's a total stranger. And she looks at him and she says, that was so kind of you and so brilliant. I see so many qualities in you at once. You're smart. You drive a Bugatti, you must have a few bucks. You're nice, you're friendly, you're accommodating, you're thoughtful, and you're a hero. You have self-sacrifice. Do you happen to be single? And And the rest you understand. Chazal HaKadoshim say, Lo hayu yamim tovim v'Yisrael, like Tu B'Av and Yom HaKippurim. What happened on Yom HaKippurim? Shebahem benot Yisrael yotzot. That's the day that the girls of Am Yisrael went out and got shidduchim. That means the day that's misugal at shidduchim is Yom HaKippurim. We knew many Gdolei Yisrael. I personally knew many Gdolei Yisrael. I witnessed Maran al-Shach Zecher Tzadik V'Racha on Erev Kippur, as he was eating Sudah Mafseket, taking care of a shidduch for a boy in the yeshiva. He said, there's no more appropriate time than this. This is the most appropriate time to be doing this. To help somebody with a shidduch. What's pshat? But Yom HaKippurim, that's shidduch, do it the next day. Chol HaMoed Sukkot sounds like a great time to me. Why Yom HaKippurim? Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to instill in your brain, this is the day that you can end up getting married to me. We can renew our vows. We can have a good life together. We don't have to view each other as in a fight during the year, this coming year. You can actually walk around saying, God loves me. But you have to use your brains, and you have to be willing to make the effort and the stride to do the right thing and to be thoughtful, even when it takes a lot of thought, to help another person. And I conclude with a thought. There was a guy who got himself into a legal mess. We should never know. So he hires good defense lawyers and this and that, to make it good. Does what he got to do. And they come up with a good defense and they think that everything's going to be fine. And just because I feel, even though this is totally off subject, that the Jewish nation at large owes a great debt of gratitude to Benjamin Netanyahu for an unbelievable job that he's done for Am Yisrael for many, many years, with a great self-sacrifice. He didn't need this. He could have been a speaker for a couple $100,000 for 40 minutes, clocking money all day. So I honestly think that it's an appropriate thing to wish him well and to pray that he gets out of his mess as Hakarat Hatov, just as Hakarat Hatov. He did for the Jews. Hashem should save him too. And I'm not saying if he's innocent or guilty, I'm not a judge. And I don't judge people either. Kitzur, he gets himself into a mess and he has a lawyer and everything's good. And they're planning trial date. One day his lawyer calls him up and says, God, my friend, we have a serious problem. And he says, what's the problem? So he says, you know what the problem is? Let me tell you what the problem is. I just figured out that somebody was tapping my phone lines. And as a result, the media leaked the entire plan of our defense. So the prosecutors know it all. So all our work just went down the drain. And we're out of time. Your court case is tomorrow. So I don't know what to tell you, but our defense is not going to work. And in a situation like this, there's only one thing, and that's to manipulate the judge's emotions, play the emotional card. You're sorry, you made a mistake, this, that, whatever. Hopefully I'll let you go. And the guy tells him, I can't do it. And he says, why can't you do it? What's the big deal? This is your only way out. He says, you know why I can't do it? Because a couple of months ago, the judge that's assigned to tomorrow's case called me up and asked me for a favor to get a job for one of his nephews. And I said no. This was before I was in trouble. So how am I going to go tomorrow and tell him I'm sorry and this and that when there's a guy who I couldn't even do a simple favor for? So he says, so you're a double moron. What did you hire a lawyer for in the first place? You should have just taken care of that and then walked into court and he would have taken care of you. That's the American wonderful system. He says, but now, do this right away, and then come in tomorrow and at least give the cover of that you feel that you're sorry. Whether you mean it or not, it's a separate story. And you'll get out. And that's the way it was. That's exactly where we stand. We stand that we spent 39 days, Slichot and Elul and Rosh Hashanah and everything, but we had a partner in the whole thing that we didn't realize along the way. The partner was the prosecutor, the Yitzhara. He was there every morning in Slichot, dancing with us, Chatanu Lefanecha. He was there, Rosh Hashanah too, he showed up to shul, till maybe he got scared off, hopefully. He was there straight through. He was there the entire time. And now Hashem gives us an opportunity to get rid of him. He says, I need from you one thing, I need a favor. Take care of my kids. When we take care of God's kids before Kippur, then when we walk into judgment on Kippur, the prosecutor's case is gone. So we say a formal, I'm sorry, Vidui a bunch of times, Yad Midot a bunch of times, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Vayomer Hashem salachti kidvarecha. We should merit the slicha, chapara, and a happy new year, the Gmar Chatima Tova, and all the brachot of the Batorah should be chal on each and every one of us, b'chal u'bifrat, amen ve'amen. Seder Advarim, we're going to do a quick Atarat Klalot now, but a shorter version than the regular. And then an expedited version of Slichot as well. And if anybody needs to do Kaparot and wants it done live as opposed to me being a messenger, you're welcome to do so right after Slichot. I'll hang around for a little bit to do Kaparot.